JBNN keep you informed. I'm Michelle Jones, and in the news, elderly farmer found dead at St. Elizabeth home. The body of a 63-year-old farmer was found at his home in Vineyard District, formerly known as Stonefield in Barbary Hall, St. Elizabeth, Wednesday morning. He has been identified as Vernon Smith, otherwise called Brownman. Police said Smith's body was discovered by relatives. It was reported that at approximately 9:30 a.m., relatives checked on Smith as they would normally do when they discovered that something was amiss and forced open his door. The relatives saw blood coming from Smith's forehead and the right side of his chest. An alarm was made and the police were summoned. 3 spent shells were found as police processed the scene. Police said the now deceased resided alone in a 2-bedroom board structure. The front door had a footprint on it. The body was later removed to the morgue. Elderly man among 2 killed in West Kingston. 2 men were shot dead by a gunman in Golden Heights, West Kingston, Tuesday evening. They have been identified as 66-year-old Lawson Henry, a woodworker from Torrington Park, Kingston 5, and Alva Downey, otherwise called Tracy, 52, a landscaper from Golden Heights. Reports are that about 6:15 p.m., Henry went to shower in a nearby gully, and on his way back, he was pounced upon by men armed with guns who opened fire, hitting him in the upper body. Police said the men then ran into the Golden Heights scheme, where they opened fire, hitting down in the upper body. The men then escaped on foot in the area. Henry was assisted by residents to the Kingston Public Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. No motive has been given for the attack. 3 died in St. Thomas 2-vehicle crash. 3 people, 2 taxi operators and an accountant, are now dead following a 2-vehicle crash in St. Thomas on Tuesday evening. The deceased have been identified by the police. A 61-year-old accountant Errol Taylor was of a Pembroke Hall address in Kingston 20, and the taxi operators Maurice Hines 41 and Derek Berger 61. Hines was from Retreat in St. Thomas, and Berger was from Lloyd's District in Yalos, also in St. Thomas. 7 other people were injured and taken to hospital for treatment. Reports are that about 6:40 p.m. Tuesday, 2 Toyota Probox motorcars were traveling in opposite directions along a closed section of the South Coast Highway in St. Thomas when they collided. Malfunction in ABM spews out cash in Santa Cruz. The National Commercial Bank NCB has confirmed reports received that an automated banking machine ABM malfunctioned, spewing out cash in Santa Cruz on Tuesday night. According to sources, late Tuesday night when the ABM malfunctioned, people took advantage of the windfall by hurriedly grabbing cash that was coming from the machine. NCB in a statement said the malfunction was due to a manual error and the machine was taken offline. There was an incident with one of our automated banking machines in Santa Cruz that night that incorrectly disbursed denominated notes to some customers due to a manual error. As soon as we became aware of the issue, we took immediate action to rectify the situation, and the machine was taken offline, the statement read in part. We are still investigating the issue and reviewing our procedures to minimize the risk of a similar situation occurring again, the statement added. NCB did not state the amount of money that was incorrectly disbursed. Chang says criminals teaming up, shifting mode of operations. Rival gangs have been joining forces, recruiting the best of the best to carry out well-organized high-value robberies, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Strang has revealed. However, the police have improved intelligence and analytical capabilities that are already contributing to successful prosecutions of gangsters, he added. Chang was making his contribution to the 2023-24 sectoral debate in the House of Representatives on Tuesday, said it has been observed that these organized criminal terrorists have been shifting away from carrying out petty crimes such as picking phones and handbags and are now operating in organized alliances to hit high-value targets. These kinds of criminal activities tend to generate heightened national concern, such as the stealing of automated teller machines, where we know they've acquired the equipment to rapidly extract the machine. They can cut out and remove an ATM in less than 10 minutes and are targeting cash in transit and other cash-heavy locations, he said. Chang said that due to this newly formed pact, inter-gang wars have been reduced significantly, pointing out that you don't hear too much about this gang against that gang, but it relates to what is happening in terms of the organized criminal activity. What they have formed is alliances between gangs to make this big, high public interest criminal activity. So we find gangs taking the best drivers from one area, or the driver who knows the area well. They find shutters from another area, and they organize and spell out on a particular event. Chang said that through intelligence-driven operations, many of these criminals have been intercepted, Stressing that the police are not sitting back and waiting, they are taking strategic action. The police have built up an excellent intelligence team, but they are going further to analyze their activities and are developing effective strategic deployments in response to these incidents, he said. The security minister said the successful use of modern fit-for-purpose equipment and tools are evidenced by the recent convictions of various gang members. He pointed to the Klansman gang trial, in which 15 people have been convicted and are awaiting sentencing, and the Eugene Wilson trial, in which 9 people have been convicted and sentenced. In addition, Chang said there are other gang trials presently before the courts involving the Ranko Gang, Kings Valley Extension Gang, Umbrella Gang, Singer or Nighttime Gang, Jaggy Gang, and another 51 gangs with more than 1,000 members are on the police radar. As proof of the police's improved capabilities to nab criminals, Chang pointed to the recent beryllium robbery case at Britton Park in Portmore, in which 4 of 7 vehicles involved were seized and 8 suspects taken into custody and 1 charged. The police are acting decisively and have the intelligence and the capacity to monitor these criminals. We'll find the rest of the vehicles, he assured. Clarendon 20-year-old pleads guilty to murder of vendor. Clarendon resident Romeo Fullerton on Tuesday pleaded guilty to the shooting death of a fruit vendor in Mapen in February. Fullerton, who was charged with murder, unauthorized possession of ammunition, possession of a prohibited weapon, use of a prohibited weapon to commit a felony, and rob with aggravation, is to be sentenced on July 6 in the Clarendon Circuit Court. Presiding Judge Justice Anne-Marie Lawrence Granger requested a social inquiry report for the 20-year-old man. The court heard that on February 14, Keith McIntosh, a 27-year-old vendor of Mockall, Clarendon, was selling in Mapen when Fullerton and another man approached him. Following a brief conversation, Fullerton brandished a gun and shot McIntosh multiple times. Fullerton stole a bag from McIntosh and escaped. An investigation was conducted which resulted in Fullerton being arrested and charged. Man accused of negligence in death of infant remanded. A St. Catherine man was charged with negligence following the death of an infant was on Tuesday remanded when he appeared before the parish court. Cavell Elson, a 30-year-old labourer of St. John's Wood in Spanish Town, is to return to court on May 29. When the case was called up, the court was informed that the post-mortem report was still outstanding. Parish Judge Nicole Kellier then ordered Elson remanded to allow for the completion of his file. Elson could face other charges depending on the results of the post-mortem. It's alleged that the 8-month-old became unresponsive while in Elson's care. The infant later died at hospital. We want Zozos, say Hannahtown residents. Fed up residents of Hannahtown are calling for the implementation of special zones of operation, Zozos, in their community, stating that they're tired of senseless killings. On Wednesday, the placard-bearing group mounted a protest on Sliping Road at the entrance of Hannahtown, claiming they were afraid to walk in the community due to increased criminal activity. I'm afraid because if I turn on the road, I don't know what happened to me. With the killings happening, anybody can die. Therefore, I can't walk in peace. We need the police. We need Zozo. We need them. We cannot do it, a resident said. She added that the government must intervene in what she says has been a year-long nightmare. They need a strategy to know what they're going to do for us. We're just a small community, the resident pleaded. Another resident stated that she's afraid to have her child living with her in the community due to the violence. My baby don't live here. I can't let my child live with me because of what is going on, the distraught resident said. This is such an unhealthy environment for the younger children. We're tired. The people can't grow up like this. This is unhealthy, another added. They're also demanding that a police station be established in the area. Millions down the drain as crooks plunder NWC. Vandals have been tampering with National Water Commission NWC systems, sometimes stealing pieces of critical equipment, causing disruption to the company's operation for hours and even days at a time. In one of the latest attacks, thieves made off with equipment used to operate pumping stations in the southern parts of the island. Delano Williams, acting corporate public relations manager of the NWC, said that the new forced water supply system in St. Elizabeth is often targeted by people who force access through a fence and illegally shut down the pump in a bid to use welding and torch equipment to puncture the pipes and fabricate illegal connections. He said that, despite the several million gallons of water that the station outputs, the NWC had been receiving complaints that the commodity was not reaching the taps of registered customers, which caused the company to realize there was a problem. After investigations, we have detected and removed over 86 illegal connections, ranging from half-inch to 1-inch pipes. We have also pulled up from our network over 500 meters of pipelines, he said, noting that many of these connections run into several parts of the community, primarily in the Bull Savannah and the Duff House areas. What we are finding is that they are becoming even more brazen in their efforts to access the pump that is running at high pressures of over 100 psi, pounds per square inch, sometimes 200 psi in instances, he said. Williams said there were 2 such instances discovered within the last month, adding that they not only pose a risk to the Commission's equipment and its ability to supply its customers, but could also endanger NWC employees. Over in Hanbury, Clarendon, which primarily supplies Longville Park Phase 3 and other nearby areas, the electrical components, including wires, were also stolen off the pumps. These are very critical wires that run our operation, that we rely on heavily to run our pumps, to run our motors, and to distribute water supply. So it's almost a cowardly but selfish act in whatever value they may think is there, Williams said. Once you have this kind of thing, you literally have to rewrite the component box, or sometimes rewire some aspect of the plant, depending on the level of damage that is caused by the vandalism, he added. The NWC was able to restore service in 24 hours in that instance. The NWC was unable to provide an estimate of the damage done to its system by vandals and thieves, as it is still quantifying the losses. However, Williams said that the electrical equipment found at most sites cost several $100,000, and in some areas, the cost of repairs surged into the millions, with some replacement parts having to be imported. Williams referenced the 2015 vandalism incident at the Goshen Pen pumping station in St. Catherine, which forced the NWC to install electric fencing in an effort to safeguard the facility. Some of our facilities, by the very nature of where the water sources are, whether they are well or river sources, they are in somewhat underpopulated or in remote areas. And while we take great pains to fence them and to have guards in some instances, it is difficult to prevent persons from accessing them at different times, he explained. He could not say whether the state agency was considering the installation of more electric fences in the problem areas. We have lost in instances over 3 million gallons on an average day because of these illegal connections, said Williams. He noted that in some instances, several illegal water lines ran hundreds of meters into different farms, which were not using drip irrigation, but instead had the water spraying out constantly, even during heavy rainfall, sucking our main pipeline dry. Although there have been no arrests in any of the locations mentioned, Williams stated that NWC has ramped up its monitoring activities and is prepared to pursue the matter to the fullest extent to have offenders prosecuted. When we got to the plant, there was no one on the scene, but the police are continuing their investigation, he said. Williams appealed to residents and business owners located near NWC facilities to assist in alerting the commissioner of the police if they see anyone trying to gain unlawful access to its plants. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.